G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you're having a good day, and with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user BigDivorce9546, titled, "In 12 hours, I will get the answer, divorce or open marriage." I gave him an ultimatum, either an open marriage or divorce. I caught my husband of 12 years cheating on me. I do know the girl because she's a part-time cashier at the local grocery store. He's been spending a lot of money on her. I got the proof and confronted his ass. He did what most cheaters do, deny and gaslight. When he couldn't make up more lies, he finally caved and started with his big man tears of, "Don't leave me, baby. I swear I'll change." I gave him options. Either we open our marriage and keep our home and keep our children and they will grow up in a house and not shift every weekend. You can keep your side chicks as long as you do not bring them into our home. We will have set rules and boundaries. I laid out all the boundaries and conditions. 1. He cannot spend money from our joint account. He can spend money from his personal expenses. However, in case of emergency, he will put his family above his side chicks. 2. Never bring them home or into our space where we have our kids. 3. No family members or friends. Ew. 4. Always use protection and regular STD checkups. 5. We will tell each other about the dates and when we are going, who we are with. We do not have to share pictures of our partners. 6. If he gets a woman pregnant, it's the end, and if I get pregnant by another man, I will either get an abortion or put the kid up for adoption, or if the father agrees, he can keep the baby and I will sign away my rights, and yes, he is more than welcome to divorce me and I will not push him for child support for another man's child. Or, we will get a divorce. We will split everything evenly. The house is in my name, so I will keep the house. We will only contact through parenting app. No bad-mouthing to our kids. If our kids want to know the truth later in life, we will tell them. We will have a healthy co-parenting relationship. He can have as many girlfriends as he wants, but he shouldn't force our children to accept them. It's for our kids to decide. I gave him 48 hours. 12 hours is left. We will see what he decides. If he cannot, then I will make the decision for the both of us. My decision is divorce. I guess my takeaway is that that's a pretty good set of rules in all honesty. And if he doesn't want to do that and if he can't handle those rules, it is best that you guys divorce. We see in so many situations like this where the woman of the relationship always gets way more success because so many more men are willing to have sex with women that are in relationships than women are to have sex with men in relationships. And just in general, I guess. I'm not holding out hope for this one, but, I'm keen to see the update. In the comments, my God, please just get a divorce. Yes, please. Use the money you will drain to make it work to save to support your family. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, works out in an open relationship unless previously discussed, consented, and agreed on / makes sense. This is a man who doesn't want to pay child support because he can't. A real person would own up to their mistakes. Notice how I didn't put it on just men. Anyway, he can't pay, but still wants to play. So if he can get you to agree and literally say okay, you need to lawyer up / start keeping receipts without announcing it as a threat. Mental abuse will not work and only hurt you. Don't blow your chance to get evidence, and more importantly, glean what you need and save it. He's an idiot, clearly. This won't be a hard thing to win, but at the end of the day, this should not ever interfere with your parenting, whether it's 1 or 2 residences. There are many resources out there, both free and paid, for services to help anyone in this situation. He's threatening you. In this case, gaslighting. Be smart. In this case, don't be making it obvious that you've become aware of these things so he can just suddenly stop doing it to make life hell. But also, don't use it as leverage in the same way he is. Mean it, do it. This just sounds like revenge. OP says, because I am an idiot. This is not the first time he cheated. I forgave him. I found sexting and he blamed it on his sex addiction, and I forgave him because we had children. Even now, he blamed it on me that I do not give him sex. I mean, he's a bum and doesn't do his part of chores. Always complains. So, I gave him what he wants. He wants to have sex with multiple women. I am giving him that under my condition, so that he cannot blame it on me that I never did anything on the sex part. Knowing him, I know he will not decide it. I have to make this decision for us, like I always do. Just divorce. Don't do this open marriage option because he won't stick to it. OP says, you really think he'll agree to the open marriage? I'm already checked out. I'm just giving him a choice so that later he doesn't say that I didn't try to make it work or deprived him of sex. He was literally crying and hyperventilating when I brought up the divorce first. He wanted me to give him another chance. I gave him under my condition. He said he will do anything that I ask for. But it's a cheater's dream scenario. OP says, yes, but on the other hand, he will also have to face the fact that his wife is sleeping with other people. You think if he agrees to an open marriage, I'll stay at home and wait for him? No, I will look into fun outside my marriage. If it was really beneficial for him, he would have said yes when I brought it up. He is still texting me wanting to talk and saying this is not the way. And my most favorite line of all, we will go to church. As if that's going to help. Update, I choose divorce. Well, I gave the verdict before 12 hours was up because I knew he will not choose any other option and would rather gaslight me. I gave him 48 hours. He couldn't decide. He still wanted to talk and see if we can work things out. I told him to pack his stuff and get out. He begged and pleaded. I stood firm. He said several couples could make it work, but I am not a doormat who will waste several years of her life building a foundation that was already broken. I've contacted my lawyer. I will serve him within this week. I already had the divorce papers ready, but I didn't serve him because I gave him the option of what it's going to be. Soon, our family will know, and I will not hear anyone who says to give him a chance. I did, and he failed. I don't believe in cheating makes relationships stronger crap like that one guy in my comments told me. I know I cannot even look at him the same way. I am done being weak and making excuses for him. That's it. I'm sitting in my empty house. My kids are with my mother. I don't know where he is or what he is doing. I guess I knew this would have been the ultimate fate of my marriage even if we chose open relationship, but I guess I didn't want my kids to come from a broken home. But then again, my kids would have lost it anyways. My mother forgave my dad, and he never cheated, but I knew that in the back of her mind, she still had suspicion that my dad was cheating. She never fully trusted him, no matter how much she said they're okay, and after the incident, their love was stronger, no matter how much she was praised for being a strong woman for giving her husband a second chance, I knew she wasn't fully trusting my father. He didn't know it, but people around them knew, and she sighed a relief when he died. It just meant that she doesn't have to pretend anymore. Sorry, I'm just rambling. I'm a mess right now. I'm just coping by posting on Reddit and talking to internet strangers. The point is, I don't want to live like my mother, worrying where he is, if he's really going to work or not, being a cell guard in my own marriage. I won't lie when I tell him I will get a divorce. I felt lighter, as if a weight has been lifted. Thanks, people. In the comments, Oh So Poor says, I hope you end up with someone way, way hotter than him and whoever he ends up with. OP says, singlehood isn't that bad. I don't have to deal with anyone's dirty underwear or incompetence. Pretty sure your kids will take a while before they're competent and can wash their own laundry, so you'll probably have to put up with that a while longer. OP says, the thing is, kids are messy by nature, but not a grown-ass man. My kids are 10 and 7. They listen to me way more than my husband. If I tell them to pick up a toy and put it in the right place, they listen. But for 12 years I have been with my husband, he still doesn't know where his wallet is. He doesn't know wet towels belong in the bathroom or the laundry basket. He doesn't know his shoes belong in the shoe rack. It is way more work when you have to clean up after a grown person. About his previous cheating. 7 years ago, we went to therapy and worked things out. He was a loving husband and whatnot, but soon he fell into his usual pattern. I gave him a chance because my own mother gave my dad a chance, and their marriage stayed until my dad died. I doubt she ever fully trusted him or loved him the same though. I thought I could make it work as well. OP's epic response to someone who blamed her for her husband cheating. Not necessary for the story, but it is well written and requested to be added. There is so many things wrong with your comment. It'll take a minute. First of all, the fact that you put sex and food on the same line is wrong. Starving someone is literally a crime. You are murdering that person. How is not having sex murdering that person? In which state is it a crime? Secondly, I had sex with him. It was not an issue. I saw how he threw tantrums like a kid when I rejected. The first time he cheated, I forgave and was more active in sex. But the amount of orgasmless sex, or as I call it, sandpaper sex, I had to endure was mind-boggling. Should I have cheated? So every woman who has not been satisfied for their husband should have cheated? I mean, you did say people who do not get food at home will look outside, but if that happens, you will not blame the man for ruining the marriage by not satisfying their wives. You will blame the woman for being selfish. Also, guys always complain about their wives do not have sex. Have you ever asked the wives why? Are they ill? Are their emotional needs being met? I was a mum who worked and came home and did every chore, cooked, cleaned, helped with the kids. He did his part, but I was doing most of it. Do you guys ever stop and think that maybe she's exhausted and that's why she's not having sex? Do you guys even care about a woman's pleasure? Most women have a normal libido. If you guys kill it by not romancing them or fulfilling their emotional needs, they will resent you. They will not see the sex as something pleasurable, but rather a chore. That's why women feel like they are maids. You guys want sex on demand. Do not care that you have to ease a woman into it. You guys do not want wives. You want a live-in sex worker. This is why men leave their wives when they're terminally ill or have sickness, because they are not having sex or meeting your demands. That's how I was treated, and I took it as an act of love. Trust me, it is not a woman's libido that ends a marriage. It's a man's lack of patience, effort, and the ability to control his dick. Also, you say a woman ruins a relationship with her low libido. Trust me, if a woman has lower libido, she will tell you before getting married, or you will see the signs. But you guys insist on these women being your partner so much because, I don't know, guys think their magic stick will turn women into Mia Khalifa. Divine Miss 3 says, "Oh boy, I'm glad she chose divorce because those conditions would never have worked. She'd just be in for more betrayal and disappointment. My mom stayed with my dad for us kids. It was actually the worst decision for us." You really think that he'll agree to the open marriage? I'm already checked out. I'm just giving him a choice so that later he doesn't say that I didn't try to make it work or deprived him of sex. Yeah, glad she already chose divorce before she even gave the ultimatum. Cheating makes a marriage stronger? What? What the hell was in that commenter's brain to say that? After my ex cheated, he told me maybe this was supposed to happen so we could work through it and be a better couple, as if it were fate that he shoved his dick inside her. We've been divorced for 10 years now. Frankly, those conditions for an open relationship were extremely fair and reasonable. That's probably why he wouldn't agree to them. Yup, I've heard the "but monogamy is hard" argument before. And you know what? It is, but so is ethical non-monogamy. In both cases, you have to communicate, consider one another's needs, negotiate boundaries, and generally act like a goddamn adult. You know what's easy? Cheating. You don't have to do any of that. You just get to lie your way around all of that work, until you get caught, that is. That's why he didn't want those terms. He didn't want ethical non-monogamy. That's work. It's as bad as having a wife. He wanted the path that's easy and didn't see the consequences at the end of that until it was too late for him. Good riddance. Our next post is by user AffectionateTerm233, titled, "Am I the asshole for gleefully telling people that I was diagnosed with an illness after they dismissed me? I, 34 female, have always been a filler person. My parents each had a child they obviously favored. My mother favored my younger sister, my father favored my younger brother. I am the friend that is ignored in a group. I am the employee whose birthday is forgotten. I'm the person who doesn't get dates. I've gotten used to it. As a result of being this agreeable, filler, boring person, I think the people around me don't realize that I'm a real person who has needs like everyone else. The prime example was when I said that my chest hurt and I coughed all the time. The people that I spoke to, and I know only a few people, said that it was not a big deal and that I'd be fine. I'd never complained before, so I should be fine. I took that to heart and wondered if I really should have told people that I didn't feel well, and wondered if I was making it up in my head. It took me a long time to actually tell the doctor my symptoms because I thought I was overreacting, but I had to get checked out. Well, it turns out there was something wrong with me. I have stage 2 NSCLC. Editor's note, lung cancer. I'm still independent and handling this alone. I drive myself to and from appointments. I pick up my medication, I reason with doctors and insurance. I haven't slacked in housework or at work. In fact, I've worked even harder. Today at work, I told my friend that I couldn't help her move as a favor because I had a medical appointment that day. She pressed me for more details, and I just said that I have treatment for NSCLC. I didn't want to give more information than that. My husband complained that I told her the information gleefully, as if I'm happy about the news. I told him that I'm happy to be diagnosed because it's proof for myself that I'm human with needs like everyone else. I wasn't crazy. He said I shouldn't act like this. My husband has been unstable and touchy about random things this year, so I don't know if he has a point. Am I the asshole? I'm in therapy. My therapist and I are working through things, and she's been very helpful. I feel somewhere between a filler person and an automation. Filler people aren't real. They don't have complexities in life, and they exist solely to make others shine. Machines don't get sick. The diagnosis was something that was concrete. I exist, I'm a person, I am not crazy, and it's not in my head. I don't want attention from others. I cried and felt relief in the same moment. Thanks to the comments. I think I know why my husband has been unstable and touchy. At the beginning of this year, the love of his life got into a car accident and broke her femur. She survived and is healthy now. I think that could be a part of what's concerning him. My illness is a reminder that she could have died, and she could still die, and life is unpredictable that way. I alone wouldn't inspire much emotion in my husband. The comments made me realize that my husband likely felt helpless at the concept of death. I traced back when he started to become touchy and moody, and realized it was when she got into that car accident. My husband has asked to help, but there's nothing for him to do. I've taken care of everything so far, and will continue to do so. In the comments, you buried the lead with that my husband's love of his life got into a car accident statement. OP says, the love of his life, my husband's first love, the one that got away, whatever you want to call it, they were childhood friends. They dated and broke up when my husband was young. She's a passionate person that wanted to live a passionate life. My husband never got over her and blames himself for losing her. I met him shortly after he broke up with her. We dated for 2 years. Through bits and pieces, I've realized how much she means to him. He was an hour late to our wedding. I found out later that his father had to talk him out of leaving me at the altar. It would embarrass his family. He had doubts because of her. I mentioned her once, and he snapped at me to never mention her name again. He looks her up constantly, as she frequently posts on social media. They remain tangentially connected. He is always interested in news of her. He loves her deeply still, I know. She got into a car accident earlier this year and broke her leg. Her femur specifically. I didn't think to connect his moodiness and general upset with that until now. She could have died in that crash. My illness is a reminder to him of how fragile life is, and that she could have died, and she could still die purely due to chance. Someone else says, you are the main character in your own life. And OP says, it's funny because when I'm alone, I feel normal, and when I'm amongst strangers and acquaintances, I feel normal. But when I'm with anyone else I actually know, I've already been relegated to the background. My therapist said that my lack of emotional demands, or what she calls reciprocal emotion or behavior, means that I attract those who don't care to reciprocate. We've touched on it, but we haven't worked through this yet. A lot of other things to tackle. Someone else says, if he's offering, let him help you. And OP says, I genuinely can't think of anything for him to help with. It just so happens that I'm good with planning and executing tasks, so I have a handle on things. On the flip side, I'm not creative or imaginative. I know I'm being blasé, but it's not as if I'm hiding how I truly feel. It's unfortunate that I have an illness, but I don't feel upset or scared. What happens will happen. I don't know what my husband could help with. I've handled everything. I've even set up plans in case I do get hospitalized. I don't think I've relegated my husband to the sidelines. I made a ton of dumplings and other food and stored them in the freezer so that if I'm hospitalized, he'll eat something nutritious instead of takeout. He can cook, he just doesn't like it and won't do it unless he has to. I have always centered people around me. Maybe that's why I feel like filler. Update. This past week has been a roller coaster of emotion for me. My therapist had suggested that I write my thoughts and emotions in a journal, but I always convinced myself there wasn't enough time in a day. Writing that post made me realize that I was dealing with a lot of emotions that I had suppressed. I did resent the people in my life who just took and took without giving back. I had told nobody besides my therapist about how much I feel like a ghost of a person and how I pushed things down and never complained. So I spent hours writing down my thoughts in a diary. I realized that I needed to be more honest and stop tiptoeing around people to make them comfortable. I told my husband that I knew about his past with his ex-girlfriend. I knew that they had unresolved feelings and he needed closure about her and their relationship. He kept checking his social media throughout the years, but it intensified this year after she was in the car accident. He was shocked that I knew. I encouraged him to reach out and get that closure that he wanted. We had a good conversation. He hugged me and reached out to her pretty much immediately. I think he was waiting for that push from someone. He was so happy after the conversations they had, he was glowing. She's apparently coming to our city in a month and they'll meet in person. He's been more affectionate and genuinely lighter, like there's a weight off his chest. I went through the motions of life. I started ignoring calls from my parents. I didn't want to help out anymore. I was too tired. My mum called and said I was being arrogant and moving away from family before asking me to help with something. I didn't reach out to my friends. I have only a few friends and we would text every day. I realized we texted because I always reached out. I told someone else about my diagnosis. My neighbor Nancy is a woman in her late 70s. She's one of the few people that I feel seen by. She cares about me, and if I had told her about my health issues, she would have told me to go to the ER. I know why I didn't tell her, but I wonder why I hope for care from people who have demonstrated no care for me instead of those that do. She was worried for me. We had planned a fun day trip to see a flower festival next spring. I drove home on my first week of the second cycle, and for the first time I was exhausted. I had to pull over and rest for an hour before I felt well enough to finish driving home. I was so exhausted, I didn't want to move, and I sat on my driveway. It hit me then that I didn't have NSCLC stage 2A, I had lung cancer. I could die. I just started sobbing. All I could think of was this stupid flower festival. I haven't lived my life. I love my husband, my family, my friends, but I don't want to be married to him. I don't want to cater to my family, and I'm tired of my friends. I want to live. I want to be well enough to drive and see the flower festival with Nancy. It's only been a week and a half of change, and my emotions have gone from low to really high and back low. I've been dreaming of my life after I beat cancer and leave my husband and friends. I don't even know if I can stick with it, but I'm determined to be strong. My therapist says change from within can start small or big. She's proud of me and thinks that I can get through this. In the comments, CompetitiveNet2687 says, "I'm proud of you. The first and hardest step is admitting a bunch of stuff that you refuse to see, handle, deal, or acknowledge. You shared a lot. You were a true friend while others were casual. You love your husband and showed him in such a selfless and caring way. Your parents have come to see you as a resource they could exploit. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you can't be a perfect daughter. Live now. Create bucket lists, small silly stuff, medium fun moments, the big awe-inspiring moments. Do what you can as you can. Maybe a bucket list for things to do with your husband. Every time you cross stuff off, add more stuff. Keep the list alive. The way you can keep your motivation alive is by always having that next something. Travel isn't likely a thing you can do much, but there are amazing location documentaries. I have severe chronic illness. My kids and I go on vacations in my bedroom. There is always ways to experience life, even if the means and ways are sideways. I wish you love and light. Most of all, I pray that you have strength. Clo Flo says, this is uncomfortably relatable. I hope she gets her flower festival. Yeah, I wasn't treated like this quite to this extent, but oof, I completely understand her. I logged out of Facebook 5 years ago and didn't sign back in until recently looking for a pic. Messenger showed 18 unread. I was super anxious about reading them, expected messages ranging from people I don't want to hear from, to people who I loved dearly that I just didn't keep in touch with, family birthday wishes, etc. All 18 were spam. I'm a goddamn NPC. OP is married to a guy who cares more about his ex than her. That's effed up. She needs to find someone who actually cares about her. She needs to first believe she deserves someone who cares for her, and there seems to be a glimmer of hope that she might be starting down that path. When all of the people in your life, including acquaintances and people who come into your life as an adult, treat you the same way, there's a reason, and it's not them. I am at a loss for words. Everyone failed her, made her feel so insignificant. She started to believe it as well. God, I want to slap her first for thinking she doesn't matter and just cuddle her. My day is ruined. And her husband takes the biggest cake. Like when your wife who has a life-threatening diagnosis tells you to go after your soulmate, that's the biggest cry for help if I've ever heard one. Anyone with a lick of common sense could see that OP was making peace with the fact that she's dying and pushing him away, but that piece of crap gleefully took the opportunity, reached out, and had been happy he had reached out. I have no doubt that piece of crap will get back with his soulmate as soon as OP survives and cuts him out of her life, or, knocks on wood, she falls a bit too sick. I pray OP just to give that piece of crap the biggest FU and live her life to the fullest with a new-found family. And honestly, OP, I wish the same for you as well, because I was going to give my opinion on whether I thought you're the arsehole or not, but then you dropped that absolute goddamn bombshell on us of his soulmate getting in a car accident, and it just revealed even further layers of sadness going on in your story that is your life. I genuinely feel so incredibly upset that this is the reality you live in. Genuinely, you deserve so much better than him, and I know so many people defend these things with, oh, I've just given you a window into my life. You don't know the actual person that I'm married to. Bro, you've shown us one, ridiculously non-redeeming action that this person has given you, and people will defend that still and say that, oh, you don't know that person. I don't think there is any excuse, any defense of someone that is so happy to see the one that got away and has been given basically a whole pass by you. I really hope the next update is you leaving him, because the fact that he was an hour late to your wedding and his father had to talk you into it to not embarrass you and the family is just so incredibly sad. I am so sorry that all of these things are happening to you, OP. I feel so bad. But anyway, that's where I'm going to have to end today's episode, guys. I didn't enjoy this last story. I feel terrible. But I hope you enjoyed listening to my reading of it. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.